What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Sharpest Tool.
Woo!
Another day in the virtual booth. I'm JRP, your host, and joining me is your co-host here, Nicholas Bosco, in the driver's seat. Today, I thought it'd be interesting, Bosco. We've been talking with a number of business owners over the past couple of weeks here, and we're in the middle of summer. A lot of home service businesses are starting to pick up. This is typically when heaters are breaking for your HVAC contractors. Plumbing starts to pick up. We have the holidays, the summer holidays. People are using their facilities in their houses more. And so you start to see more needs for repair and things like that. So this typically is like the on season for home services.
Oh, yeah.
And what's interesting is most business owners are always caught, and this isn't just an on season thing for what it's worth, but you're always caught between this pickle of I need to keep technicians busy.
Yep.
And I need to drive revenue to be able to hit my revenue goals. And while in a lot of instances, they seem like they always flow together,
right?
I think our experience is a little bit different when we look at this from the marketing perspective and then in coordination with the business owners. They don't always flow together. No. And so I think it'd be cool for us to take a deeper look behind the veil of how this maps out and how we think about it on the marketing side.
Yeah. It's funny because there's a couple of business owners I've spoken with before who want to garnish more leads, right? And the focus is, well, give me calls and I'll take care of the rest.
Yeah.
But then you have another conversation and they're just like, hey, my revenue's down. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. But we've got to take into consideration a couple of variables too, right? One topic is interesting too, and I think business owners need to take this into consideration. Cost of materials, it goes up.
Oh, yeah. It has gone up. It's been going up this year. It's been my conversation with a lot of business owners.
I know for roofers specifically, it's gone up 2 to 4 times already.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's atrocious, but it happens.
Yeah.
But lead flow may be coming in. Revenue's not up as high. Ticket prices. Well, I got to stay competitive in the market. So it's just, I know there were some things we talked about prior, but it was interesting. I was just thinking about that right now, that when there's a lead flow and revenue and kind of going this back and forth, that's one problem. One aspect that I know some business owners really are challenged with is like, man, I'm really not getting the revenue I'm looking for. Yeah. And maybe they are closing calls.
Yeah.
So ticket prices, your average ticket costs, or there's an upsell motion that your techs have to go through. There's different variations.
It's interesting. When you break this down, there's a couple areas you look, right? So if you're thinking I'm slow, or I'm not getting enough revenue. Yeah. First thing for the revenue piece, there's a couple places you look. Either A, you're not getting enough leads that are turning into revenue.
Sure.
Key point, turning into revenue. Or you're not getting enough revenue from the leads that you are getting in. Your people are busy, but the ticket cost isn't as high as it needs to be, like you're saying, Bosco, which could be a quality thing, the types of leads that are coming in.
Sure.
Or it could be you're not charging enough. Or it could be technicians aren't cross-selling enough or upselling enough. There's a lot of different levers that you can play. But stage number one is really, how do we get leads in the door? There's a lot of different ways you do it from a digital perspective. Obviously, we talk about it all the time on the Sharpest Tool. You got paid advertising. It's going to be your more immediate short-term. And there's a lot of different channels that you can do that with. Your local service ads, which for what it's worth, as of the date we're recording this, kind of tidbit for everybody listening, Google's LSA disputing service is going away within the next month, right? So their disputing service is going away. They're moving more towards, they're basically automatically crediting back for spam calls that ultimately come through. Not unlike what they did with PPC years ago, where they automatically credit for what they've identified as spam or invalid clicks.
Yeah, that's
coming in, right? But that aside, there's a lot of paid advertising channels where you pay to play and you pay to get leads in the door that ultimately are intended to keep your technicians busy. So that's the first place you got to look. Are you investing properly to get leads in the door? And that's going to be contingent on a variety of factors, right? How much your risk tolerance is. Are you investing the proper amount to be able to drive leads in the door? You got to look at all those variables because lead costs are going to be different across channels, across geographies. And you got to consider that when it comes to placing a budget. Because if you're not spending appropriately, you're not going to drive the lead volume you need. If you're not driving the lead volume you need, you're going to have technicians sitting around. If technicians are sitting around, they're looking for work elsewhere. It's a cycle.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So that's the first place you got to look is, am I investing enough in order to drive leads in, get the right leads in the right areas through the door so I can optimize my technicians going out to help those particular customers?
Yeah.
So that's the first stage that you have to maximize. And once you get through to that, then it becomes, okay, is it a booking rate thing?
Sure.
are my CSRs for what leads are coming through and people who are calling, and are they in my service area? If you're partnering with your marketing team appropriately, you're going to get leads coming through your service area. Every now and then you'll see things come through that are not, but if you're targeting appropriately, the most of your leads will come through your service area looking for somebody who does what you do.
Sure.
And then your CSRs have to pick up the phone and they got to provide an experience. That experience is intended to get a technician in the door.
But even people that don't have CSRs and it's owners who are answering, you've got to be mindful of that.
You have a sales component. Mm-hmm. Whoever's answering the phone, there's a sales function. Make no mistake. They're not just answering the phone.
Yeah.
They are optimizing themselves in their behavior towards a conversion. Mm-hmm. They want to get an appointment booked so a technician can get out to the house or a consultant can get out to the house. At the end of the day, that is their function, is to drive that. So you got to look at that. Now, if that's optimized, you get to the point where a technician or a consultant or somebody gets out to the house, they have an experience they have to provide to the business. And ideally, if you have enough leads driving in, and it's not just about the leads driving in, you could have 100 leads drove in by your marketing, and then your CSR is only able to book 20 of those, versus another company who has the same dynamics, 100 leads driving in, but they have a better CSR, and that CSR is driving 60 of those.
Yeah.
You're going to have more at-bats. Your technicians are going to be busier. So it's something, I don't know what you've heard, Bosco, but I see that one a lot. I see where we're not optimizing for conversion around the CSRs, which puts more pressure on needing to get more leads. And oftentimes that comes with a conversation around, well, we got to spend more money. And then the business owner is not prepped to spend more money yet because we're already maximizing our plan of what we've kind of entered into. What do you see on that front?
Yeah, I would actually agree. And the challenge that a lot of business owners have is exactly that I'm working with a marketing company, or it doesn't matter whether you're doing it internally, externally, whatever company you're working with. You're like, I'm trying to garnish leads coming in. And so that's your go-to. That's your quick reaction. Like, hey, I need to get more leads coming in. I didn't book enough. I don't have enough revenue. So you go to that. And a lot of times these owners, exactly that, they don't step back. Right. And so when you speak with them, sometimes in some cases it's a net new topic. It's a sensitive topic too. And I understand because, internally there's a family cohort you're working with. I've got a family member too that works in the plumbing industry. And same thing. She's got family members that are working with her. So sometimes, yes, if they're not, I get it. But at the same time, what is happening, what is not happening? And there is that aspect that we have to take in consideration when it comes to these leads. That's a great way of saying it. You had 100 contacts coming in. Let's assume for the sake of conversation, they're all of quality, 100. And you have one CSR that's closing 20, but you got another CSR that can close 60.
Yeah.
Right? More at bats. It's exactly it. And so people don't really stop, or owners don't stop to go, let me take a look at that function of the business, because that plays into marketing. There's that experience that they're playing into. You're 100% correct on that. And I get it. A lot of the times too, there's a lot of challenges that owners or CSRs run into, right? It's interesting because I've spoken with some owners who go, well, yeah, I got a lot of people that are price shopping. And I said, let me ask you something. What did they ask for? Well, they wanted me to replace their water heater. I said, okay. And what was your response? Told them what we can do. Told them the cost to come out. I said, okay. And they said, well, how much is it total to replace everything? And I said, well, what was your response? Well, which I get. Well, we have to assess. We got to come out and assess. Yeah. Well, just ballpark. Well, if I have to come out and actually replace it, depends on how old your unit is, all right, let's throw out at 5,000. Okay. All right. Well, thank you for that. And they hang up. You guys, I got a price shopper. Did they need the service that you provide in the area that you serve? Yeah. That's a challenge. And I get, but there's a sales aspect. How do you work to close that? How can you hook that person to come in? But that's exactly it. That's a challenge that I hear all the time and walk through, but some business owners need to take a step back and actually look at that.
Yeah. How have you proposed, for people who are kind of pulled top between this, I need to keep techs busy, and then also revenue? It seems to me, in my experience in talking with a lot of business owners, oftentimes they oscillate and they kind of play ping pong between the two. Very seldom do they flow together where it's, I have a revenue problem and a lead volume problem if I'm investing properly. But oftentimes, if somebody's investing appropriately, usually what I'll end up seeing is, well, revenue's not hitting here. And then, so what do we end up doing on the advertising side? We end up optimizing for revenue. What does that mean? Well, we start making sure that we're optimizing our advertising to go after higher quality leads, leads that potentially generate a higher ticket value, that has a higher potential to go turn into revenue. So then we do that, we're successful with it, and then revenue's picking up. But then we hear the backside of it because we're now getting in front of less leads overall because the quality isn't there with a lot of the volume of leads, because we're optimizing towards higher quality, higher intent, which there's less of leads to drive revenue. And those are more limited in capacity and scope than even what you're describing, Bosco, like the price shoppers. And so oftentimes the ping pong goes back to the other side of the table of, yeah, but now we're slow. Like a guy sitting around.
Yeah.
And so then you kind of open things back up to this window over here of, let's just get leads in because we got to get text busy and in the door. But the quality might suffer a little bit. So then what does that do to revenue? Well, revenue potentially starts to draw back. So you see this drawdown in this ping pong match. When you've seen that, how do you navigate that conversation with a business owner?
I try to make sure I talk about two different, they feed each other. So you're not wrong. Yeah. They do feed each other, but I also want to make sure that I speak to one area that we need to talk about first. So if we're looking to drive in leads, because again, we talked about the factors that are going to feed into your revenue, right? Whether it's the CSR's closing, the quality of the calls, the texts, cross-selling, upselling, and make sure they don't just go out for the service, but they actually get that job closed and on the books or in the books. But when I talk about leads first, right? What every company wants, and I get it. First of all, we tell companies, you need to be visible where your clientele is at, right? So for the sake of conversation, Santa Clarita, let's assume Santa Clarita is where I service. Okay, we got to make sure you're visible in Santa Clarita. Well, how do we do that online? Well, organically, we got to do that, right? Just got to make sure you show up organically. We got to make sure, now we all know, or from an organic perspective, that can be a different topic, but let's assume you're on page 1. Okay, you're on page 1, top of page 1, you're in the maps, you're showing up organically. I love it. Okay, so you're visible there. Well, what's another area to be visible? Well, it's going to be through your advertising, local service ads, through Google PPC. Just assuming with Google, obviously there's Facebook ads, there's Bing, Yahoo, there's Yelp. We got all these different channels. Totally get it. You've got to be visible within that, right?
Yeah.
Competitive market comes at a cost. So when clients are like, hey, I need more lead volume, what I like to do is I'm going to try to find the lowest cost lead channel that's also driving in the volume for you based on your investment that you have as well, right? So segmenting away from revenue for a second, when I'm talking about leads, it's like, hey, here's what I'm trying to do. You've got a certain capital to invest in with your advertising, okay? SEO side with advertising. And you may have clients like, well, I want to be visible at all times. Totally get it. What does at all times means? It means for every search that's happening for an AC repair within Santa Clarita, I want to show up 100% of the time. That comes at a cost, right? Yeah. There's a certain investment needed to do that. Okay, so, here's what that looks like. So that's what I want to be visible. Okay, let's take the next layer down, but I also want to drive in the lead volume. Well, I'm going to look at the channels that are one, driving the lead volume, but also at a lower cost, because then I can stretch your dollars further because it's driving in that volume at a lower cost. Yeah. And in some cases, it may mean that I have to turn off a certain channel based on your investment. So this is give and take when it comes to it. So what are we willing to sacrifice for the sake of $1? Or are we willing to invest more to keep it going? But it does come at a cost. And especially that when you invest more, you're not closing enough, your revenues can be sacrificed for it, especially when you're making those heavy investments. So I talk about that in segmentation in terms of the channel opportunity, lowest cost per lead channel, but I have to take into consideration which one's driving in the volume too. Yeah.
It was funny. We were talking with a client the other day, Bosco, you and I, and what came up was there was this priority, and it was a competing priority. Right? I think it's really important to understand where certain priorities fall within the scope of your business. And this particular company, the priority was, I want to make sure I'm always showing up at the top of the page with respect to paid advertising.
Sure.
So anybody who's been in the paid advertising game long enough, specifically PPC on Google search, Bing and Yahoo, anybody who's done this long enough, you know the rising cost of being visible, specifically at the top of the page, page 1, in those areas, especially in specific markets. If you're in a competitive market, a major city, major metro, you're paying top dollar in order to be in that spot for the right search in the right area. And now, even though there are lower cost lead channels, so the backside of this is that's priority number 1 for this business. And maybe it's your priority too. That's your priority number 1. And it's not a bad priority. But now you got to balance it with this other priority that you have of keeping technicians busy. We're slow. You hear that a lot as a marketing company. You've probably said that to your marketing company as well. Hey, we're slow. We need to get more. What else can we do?
Yeah.
Right. So you have these two priorities. One that is, I need to be top of the page, even though it's going to cost me 2 to 3 times as much as being somewhere else or getting a lead from a different channel. Priority number 1. Priority number 2, I need leads.
Yeah.
But I have a fixed budget. So in order to get more from here, top of the page priority, I got to rake up my budget.
Yeah.
I got to spend more in order to do that. But you can. Or you sacrifice this priority, even if for a time, in order to satisfy this priority by diversifying your dollars into channels that are lower cost,
right,
but can also produce lead volume. So I think I see that too, where priorities, even though on the surface, it might seem like this is a no-fail, we cannot deviate from this priority. When you really dig into the dirty details here, there's a secondary priority, even if for a time, that's going to usurp that priority. And I think that's okay. It's okay for those priorities to shift at any point throughout the year. And that's necessarily going to shift your strategy. And that's the conversation you really want to have with your account manager, your marketing company, whoever's running and driving your marketing. That it's super important for you to be able to have that conversation around priority. And for what it's worth, from a client perspective, this is going to be driven by you. This is something that you have to make sure you're always talking with your marketing team about, because they're not going to read your mind on this. There's how your priorities are shifting. So they need the details. They need the input so they can properly shape and navigate the strategy alongside you in a way that makes sense to you, so you understand what's at stake when you swap out one priority for the other at the service of keeping your techs busy or driving better revenue, because they all have implications. It's just a matter of what direction we want to ultimately drive. Right?
Yeah. And it just goes back to that exact thing, is that as a business owner, you want leads, you want calls, you want those contacts. So that's a priority. Well, if you get more calls, what happens in your mind? Well, if I get more calls, my techs are busy and I should get more revenue.
Yeah.
But there's steps that we've got to work through to make sure that we're aligned and that you understand what is going to happen. This is, I call it like a cost benefit analysis, right? Like, well, what's the cost benefit of me doing this and shifting here? Well, we can drive in more leads at a lower cost because the volume's showing, but you're not going to be visible all the time.
Yeah.
Right? Or in some cases, in certain markets, we've seen it where it's okay. You've got the money to invest and it's not as costly. That's okay. It's great. You can invest here and we can do both. That's okay. Each market's going to be different and dynamic. We've got to shift, but we've got to be okay with it, even as owners, in talking about that. But at the end of the day, I would recommend, obviously, if I have a fixed budget, I would recommend let's go for the channels that are producing volume at a lower cost and let's keep it there. Doesn't mean I want to stop other channels, but we may not be visible at all times.
Yeah.
Right. So it's just something to take, food for thought.
Yeah, absolutely. No, as we wrap this episode up, this is something I think business owners deal with day in and day out. It's a constant battle and struggle between priorities, conflicting priorities, priority of revenue versus priority of keeping techs busy, priority of keeping techs busy over priority of investment into marketing in order to keep those techs busy. So it's constantly changing, and that's gonna happen throughout the year, and that's okay. Super important piece is make sure you're discussing that with your marketing company, your marketing person, your account manager, whoever's working with you on your advertising strategy. Second thing is make sure you're optimizing it every step of the journey. You're optimizing your marketing channel to make sure you're in front of the right leads for the services that you do work for in the area that you do work in. That's the key to making sure you're driving in the right leads. Make sure your CSRs are optimizing themselves around getting as many of those phone calls in the door, price shoppers and all. We got to make sure we're building innovative strategies around how do we hook people. Love that you use that, Bosco. How do we hook people to be able to drive an appointment? And are you opening yourself up to all of the potential avenues of driving those appointments? Do you have a scheduler on your site? Are you leveraging AI with chat to be able to talk and work with even more people? Do you have the ability to text with your clients? Do you have the ability to call your clients, right? I would hope so. Do you have the ability to email with your clients? Whatever form they want to connect with you with, make sure that you are present and able to offer that to them.
Yeah.
Then the third stage is making sure your techs or your consultants or whoever's going out to the house are providing a solid experience and able to convert as many of those as possible. Spending time with the customers, making sure they're offering cross-sell, upsell opportunities to maximize the dollar intake to the business for every job opportunity. And the last piece is when you have all those in motion, right? Keeping a pulse on each of those areas to see where at any given moment you might need to shift priority, or you might need to shift your tactic and your strategy to be able to achieve a specific outcome, even if it's in the short term. And that's okay. Give yourself that grace, because when you do that and you're operating with that operational cadence, you will maximize not only your returns, but keeping your people busy and happy, and ultimately achieving the revenue goals and the targets that you're setting out for as a business. So awesome topic.
Amen.
Definitely need to dive into it even more because there's so much meat here. But I hope you drew some value from that. If you did, you know somebody that needs to hear it, definitely share it around. I want to make sure everybody's able to have the information here that we're dropping fire here. Bosco's always a pleasure.
Always. And for those listening, just make sure you go circle back on some of the other podcasts we've done. Some really great topics that are out there. And I love resurfacing some of these. So
definitely. If you like what you're hearing, definitely hit the like button and give that subscribe button a nice pound. From all of us here at the Sharpest Tool, till next time, we will talk to you soon.
Bye.
Thanks.